we'll just talk about the games that really mattered the most to us. So let's start with your Eagles since that's a little bit more chipper.
Yeah,
Yeah, they get the win against Baltimore 24-19.
it was the tale of running backs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of wasn't the tale of running backs. Saquon Barkley did his thing. Um, man, he's been vocal about it in the last couple of weeks. He wants that rushing title, man. He said, Henry, you've had two of them. My turn.
Mm-hmm.
Let me have one.
Yeah.
And
Eric Dickerson actually put out like a message to both of them and says the number's 2105. Go get it.
yep.
You know.
I don't know what King Henry's on pace on anymore, but at the time of that tweet, uh, the pacing for Saquon Barkley, he should break it by about 9 yards, give or take. So we'll
It's
see if it
close.
happens.
It's
It
going to be
happens.
close. Yeah.
You know how Eric is. You know, if anybody gets close to breaking that record, he comes out. He does not want you to break his record. I don't care what that tweet says, man. He was not happy a few years
2205.
ago.
That is an insane number.
Yeah,
2205. I mean, only a handful of times has anybody ever broke 2000. So, I mean, just
I,
ridiculous.
I wonder
It's
though, like
ungodly. Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if Eric led his team in touchdowns, right? That seems plausible, right?
Mhm.
There's definitely a good chance that Saquon Barkley will not lead the league in touchdowns if he breaks his rushing title, which would be amazing because Jalen Hurts will take all of his touchdowns at the end zone anyway. So, um,
You know
one
what?
thing I
The
want
end
to,
zone cuts back on the yardage you can gain anyway. You know,
I mean, it's one
like
yard.
he could get. I mean, he could get like a play that is designed to get you about 8 or 10 yards. But if he only runs it from 3 yards away, he's losing 5 yards right there. So that may
That's
end up
true.
hurting. You never know. You never
That's
know.
true. That's true. One thing I wanted to know: the rookie Cooper DeJean. We've had two rookie. Actually, we had three rookies playing in this game. One of them was Hunt, who got a sack and a couple pressures on Lamar Jackson. Love that. Kenyon Mitchell, we're calling him Quintanamo Bay because no wide receivers catching on him or getting touchdowns all season long. He hasn't given up a single touchdown. I love it. But most importantly, Cooper DeJean, this kid is the only person I've seen ever drop King Henry like he did this Sunday. Perfect tackle, perfect technique, got him, lifted him, and put him down on the ground. I knew right then and there this game was over. I don't care what the rest of the score says. This game is over. So we go into next week against Carolina. I like our chances against that. I mean, I know the Bucks had a tough time with them, but I don't think we're going to have as much tough time as maybe the Tampa Bay did here. So everything's roses. I'm just
Yeah.
really hoping that the Lions lose a game. I need them to lose a game.
I will say that it's kind of interesting that Carolina, like Bryce Young, actually
You look good.
looks he's starting to look competent, like he's not a complete and total bust. We'll
Yeah,
see. I mean, to be determined. It's only been like a handful of games with this new coaching staff, right? So I mean, there's still maybe that benching for a few weeks helped him,
it
get his
very well
mind
could
right or
have, man.
something.
It very well could have. So
All right.
let's look
You know
your
what?
band-aid.
Nope. We're not talking mine yet. We're gonna talk because next is what happened on Friday to the Raiders. We're gonna talk about that instead, just real quick. Another screw job. Apologies, Sam, and any Raiders fans that may be present on the feed. They end up losing 19-17 to Kansas City on Friday. On the Black Friday game, the first ever one, right? And they can't keep doing this. They can't keep getting away with it. But they do, and
Yeah,
just it's another way. It's the most Kansas City Chiefs win and the most Raiders loss, and it happened at the same time. I just yeah
I would just say this is optimism, as optimistic as you could possibly be. If you're a Raiders fan, you still only have 2 wins. That puts you in a pretty prime position to get yourself a
they're
good
in the
quarterback.
driver's seat at this
hmm
point.
Yep. With that, no, Carolina did not win that game, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean they're poised to get a top quarterback, a top pick. So optimism for that for sure. Me and Sam had spoke about it. I think your best bet is to lose. I mean, it sucks you had to lose this way, but keep losing. Then you keep your assets and you don't have to trade things away to move up in the draft. So
Yeah,
I
so
think there's
just
some positives to it.
an update on the standings. The Giants, the Raiders, and the Jaguars are all tied at 2-10, and they're all the worst. That's the worst record in the league. So there you go. You're right in the mix there. You know, just a couple of tiebreakers here and there, and the Raiders may end up with the number one overall pick. So you get your pick of the litter. Um, yeah. Papa G in the in the chat says absolutely screwed. Yeah. So
Yeah,
just to clarify, they what was there was the whistle was being blown by the side judge, but they let the play go, and there was a fumble on that play, and they let the play stand. Is what happened, right?
yeah.
So
So it was also an illegal motion,
yeah,
or illegal shift, I should say,
yeah,
and that doesn't constitute as a play being blown dead. Apparently,
yeah.
when I read the
I mean,
rules, it does
it,
not.
this has happened several times actually,
Hmm.
this season, and the commentators have been making mention of it. So I have to imagine that this is going to be another rule that gets updated in the off season. You know, at this point, because why are we? If there's something illegal happening on the offense, why are they letting them even run a play? You know, in
Right.
all honesty. So
Yeah.
but the Raiders get screwed again. You know, such is the story of the Raiders. If we're being honest, like this happens too often for us to be surprised anymore. And the Chiefs keep getting lucky break after lucky break after lucky break, and there they are. They're sitting 11-1 atop of the division, atop of the conference. Excuse me, AFC. So they're, you know, what do you do? What can you say? Go Lions, I guess, is all
I
you
mean, the
can
Chiefs the
say.
Chiefs are beatable. You know what I mean? That's what this tells me. Okay, I know it's a
Mhm,
Friday game. It's a 12 o'clock kickoff. It's everything about it is weird, especially if you're such stuck to a rhythm and a cadence of how you perform week in week out, Thursday, Sunday, Monday.
mhm,
So yeah, but the Bills beat them. They almost got beat by the Raiders. They almost got beat by there's another team that almost beat them as well that took them down to the wire. I can't remember right now, but they're beatable. So um, if the rest of the league, I mean, specifically, I'm talking about the Vikings, the Lions, and the Eagles.
mhm.
You got to feel good about it, man. You got to feel good about your
Y
chances if you can do what you got to do on your end and see them at the end. You know, if you see
Yeah,
them at the end.
yeah, so I'm looking right now, at the Chiefs, schedule so far, what they've played. So they, of their 11 wins, you've got the win against the Saints, that was 13 points. You beat the Niners by 10. Um, and, you lost to the Bills by 9. Yeah, and that's it. Those are your two, so like double digit wins. Everything else was 7 points or less. So they're just squeaking by in 9 of their 11 wins. So they're right there.
Right.
Um, Papa G says they should be about 6-5 right now, or 7-5 probably, with 12 games played. But I mean, yeah, lucky breaks here and there have basically tipped the entire thing, and it's, one break here, one break there. The Broncos game a couple of weeks ago, like right before they took that L to the Bills, that was one that they certainly should have lost. They barely escape against the Panthers just this past week before the Raiders.
Yep.
I mean, and the Raiders played them like at home in Las Vegas. They only lost by 7 there. So I mean, and that was, late October. So this is definitely just not the team that we saw the last few years. That being said, until they actually like lose in the playoffs, it's tough to bet against them,
Sure.
especially with Tay Voodoo out there. You know. So,
Yeah, out here giving out Pop
all right.
Tarts.
I've delayed. All right, it's time. So the
You want to
Niners.
talk about the Niners? You
You,
want to talk about one of the greatest touchdowns I've seen in quite some time from an NFL perspective
all right,
of
let's
just
talk about that.
anything to delay what you want with
Yeah,
the inevitable
just
here.
the inevitable. Yeah, yeah. It's just
I mean, where do you get the guts to call that in the snow, given every condition possible? You throw the lamest throw ever to Amari Cooper, who then Amari Cooper sees you as the quarterback and Josh Allen and rugby tosses it back to you? Where do you
So
get the guts
so
to do
what
that?
happened was Josh Allen actually I heard about this after the fact. What had happened was Allen, that was not a good ball that he threw to
No.
Amari. Amari made an excellent play just to get his hand on it, you know. And then as soon as he threw it, he just like as soon as he let go of it, he knew it was a bad ball, so he just chased after it just in case something weird happened, and he wanted to be able to help make a play on it. Amari Cooper makes a hell of a catch just to hold on to it. Cooper sees him, chucks it back to him, and Allen's like, "Okay, cool," and runs it the fuck in. So all right. The final score was 35-10. Okay, whatever. Sure. It was a snow game. I knew that this was going to be a loss heading into it. A couple weeks ago, I said you lose one more game, it's panic time. They lost that game against the Packers. I wasn't on the show. I was in Disneyland enjoying my life instead. So I didn't get to panic then. I'm already past panic. It's done. It's nothing's happening. They're only yes, they're mathematically only 2 games out of first, but if they win out, that's 10-7, and that also means they're only 3-3 in the division. So you have to actually clear 3 games because other teams are going to have a better record
You got to
in
clear three
the
games, and you got to hope some teams in your division lose some games coming up in the next few weeks. Which,
yeah, exactly. So they have to lose so the Niners have to make up 3 games in 5 games. So they
yeah,
have to basically win out, and then everybody else in the division has to lose out at this point, and that's not going to happen. So I
I
mean,
mean,
I'm
the
writing off this
Seahawks.
season. It's done, and
Yeah,
you know what? It's freeing to feel this way. You know, I actually I feel relief. I don't feel any more angst. The injuries, Christian McCaffrey suffered a PCL injury and is on the IR for the next 6 weeks. Assuming the Niners miss the playoffs, that's the end of his season because there's only 5 weeks left in the regular season.
right.
Jordan Mason was also placed on the IR for an ankle injury in that game. Everybody that ran to their to the waiver wire for fantasy football to pick up Jordan Mason, that was wasted effort because now he's gone too. And fuck, doesn't feel great. But also, you know what? This if they just kind of lose out for the rest of the year, they get up. They get the fourth place schedule. You know, they for and that makes next year when we're back and healthy, it makes it a little bit easier to start stacking wins next year.
Sure.
And
Well, but
this,
there's still a lot of question marks with the 49ers. You're gonna have to pay Purdy.
yeah,
There like there's
yep. And I think somebody like uh Javon Hargrave might be a cap casualty. Somebody like him, he might I don't know. It depends what the dead cap hit is or if you can trade people. I'm not generally worried about that part of it because they always figure like the teams always figured out there's always ways to get more money elsewhere. You convert somebody's salary to a signing bonus or something in a restructured contract. They'll make it work. Uh, my dad also says Fred Warner's been playing with a fractured bone in his ankle as well. So I mean that's part of the reason why Fred just looks a little bit slower than normal this year. It's just they've lost heading into last night's game they've lost 37 games played from Pro Bowl players, which is the most in the NFL. So it's not the most injuries per team, but it's the most injuries to key players that the Niners have suffered is really what it comes down to. And it shows this team is mid, at this point. The guys that they have now, I was looking ahead at the Niners schedule as well, and honestly, it's like the next 2 weeks, there might be some fool's gold in here. Because you get the Bears next week, and the Bears are they're not a good team. The Niners are right now not a good team either, but you could win at home playing the Bears, and then you have the Rams coming to your house on Thursday, so you could catch them a short week. It's a rivalry, it's a division game. That's definitely possible. But your last 3 games are at the Dolphins. You're at home on December 30th on Monday Night Football against the Lions, and then you're at Arizona. I think what might happen is I think the Niners may win like the next 2 games, fight their way back to 7-7, and then lose the last 3, and then you end up with like the, I don't know, 12th or 13th pick or something like that in the draft. Like
Well, do
that's
you
kind of realistically where I see it going at this point because I don't know, man.
do you see a scenario we talked about it last week that maybe the 49ers offload a wide receiver? I mean, obviously can't do the only one that makes sense is Debo Samuel. So would you offload Debo Samuel for cap and also for possibly moving up in the draft for yourself?
I mean, honestly, there's nothing that's really off the table at this point. Nobody's gonna trade for Brandon Ayuk because the contract's too big, it's too new, it's too long,
Right.
and he's got an ACL injury. Debo is he would be the next likely candidate. Ricky Pearsall hasn't really flashed that much, to be honest. So I'm
Yeah,
a
but to be
little
fair, he
reticent.
was he
It's
was like
he
5 weeks.
Honestly, yeah, no, that's while that's fair. If he doesn't flash, like show something in the next like 5 weeks, that's not a great sign because when you look at first, early round picks, especially at the wide receiver and like running back positions, they flash in the first year. And if they don't flash, they go on to bust a whole hell of a lot of the time. Like the example of who was it that was in Miami forever? He and then he ended up in New England or something like that. Like I don't even remember, but like it took him until his 5th year to break out. Like that does not happen. Like your breakouts happen in your 2nd year, but there's always signs of it happening. Like you got a player like there's a game or two here or there in that first year where it's like, oh yeah, he could be something. And Ricky Pearsall hasn't shown that yet, so he's got five weeks to show that. Otherwise, I'm not gonna. I'm not quite writing him off, but I'm ready to start looking for the next thing if it's not him. If he doesn't flash in his next 5 games.
Yeah, I,
So
I think also too. I mean, he's 5 weeks behind. He has zero chemistry
yeah,
with Purdy. Um,
yeah,
doesn't hurt that. I mean, doesn't help that you played a snow game. The week prior to that, you had a backup quarterback. So realistically, he's only played what 3 games with Purdy. You know what I mean? So I just think that you know I'd give him a little bit more rope. Is
he's
what I'd
he's
say.
played 5 games with Purdy so far.
Okay.
So by the end of the year, he'll have 10 games played with Purdy, assuming both of them play the rest of the schedule. Okay. So in 10 games, you need to flash at least once because that's 10% of the games. Yeah, I need a big game from Ricky Pearsall in the next 5 weeks. I just need one of them. I just need signs of life is what I need.
Okay.
And like yeah, that's it. If there's no signs of life in the last 5 weeks, I'm ready to. I'm ready for the Niners to draft another big name wide receiver. Um, yeah.
I don't know. I
So
think
so
I
we'll
think the
see.
49ers MO is the line. They're probably going to address that just because.
Like, well, yeah. I mean, they've picked first round or second round wide receivers, fairly often though. So I would expect another one to be picked if we don't see something from Ricky in the next 5 games. That's what I'm saying. I think, and there are bigger needs, obviously. That being said, I'm just saying what I see, and Ricky's not doing. Ricky needs to step up at this point. Now's the time for him.